to get started. So, welcome. I am so glad that each and every one of you is here. We're heading into the holidays. So it's nice to see people in the seats. I know sometimes it gets a little odd during the holidays, people being here. So I'm incredibly thankful that you are here. Do we have any gratitude this morning? Y'all, somebody better come up with the gratitude. There, thank you.
I'm grateful for Brett, David, and Gabe for coming today to
Yeah.
support us and what we need here in our office. And, you know, this is a big app. So when we ask somebody to come in the middle of the day, so we really appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Can we give them a round of applause? Y'all, we got a ton of land questions yesterday. Not yesterday, I had one, but we got a ton of land questions over the past few weeks. So we are super glad that you guys are here today. Does anybody else have a gratitude? Well, I'm gonna say that. Oh, yes.
Well, I'm thankful for you.
Yeah.
Yes. You as a person, you as a person,
Stop it.
yes.
Y'all know I cried every This will be my mistake. I'm crying. But I will. I do, I cry.
Word out there.
I do sometimes use funny words that I shouldn't use, so I will try very hard not to use funny words that I shouldn't use today, so. Thank you. I mean, it's fine, I'm teasing with you. I'm grateful that you guys are here, that we are all here before Thanksgiving, and I'm also very grateful that we're having a great coat drive. So a lot of coats that we're gonna be able to distribute to our area that we're here today, full court, so. They're having a blast out there. Where is Lenny? Lenny, get in here. Say hi to Lenny. Favorite vendor. So thank you for lunch.
Thank you.
Tell us what's going on in your world.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lenny Travato. I'm with Equimaxit. Speaking of gratitude, thank you. This is by far my favorite office. We've gotten a bunch of deals out of here and, I actually lived in Roswell for 25 years. I know I don't sound like it, but, I've been here 35. Yeah, so, this is by far my favorite office, and, some of you know what I do, some of you don't. I'll give you the elevator pitch. Basically, we're, fix to sell, pay at closing kind of thing. We'll do
What does that
everything.
mean, Lenny?
So basically, if you get a homeowner that can't afford to do upgrades or renovations or, deferred maintenance issues.
Talking on the way in.
That's why I said, because we had 70 calls recently.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so we basically will do the renovations, the upgrades, the deferred maintenance, and give the customer 6 months to pay, to sell the home and pay at closing. So there's no fees for the financing, there's no appraisal, there's no credit report, there's no underwriting fee, it's all zeros. We give them a credit line, just like any other HELOC, and 6 months to close. As long as they close within 6 months, there's never a fee for the finance. So we don't pull credit, it's all
I was
equity
gonna say,
based.
you have to qualify.
Yeah, it's all equity based.
Equity based.
So we basically go to Metro Atlanta, we go to 80%.
Okay.
You know, out on the side, you know, outside of Metro Atlanta, we go to 70%. More or less. We make exceptions though, you know, especially if we know the realtor and we bill, it's a realtor driven program on that note. So you can't do the program without a realtor. So actually pretty reciprocal because we get a bunch of referrals each month and we like to give them back to people that have done business with us. It's a great product because it helps you differentiate yourself from those online guys. I mean, let's face it, full service realtors are under siege right now. You know, with the new comp plan and everything else, it helps you differentiate yourself from your competition. We have some teams that will offer it on every listing. It's good if you never even use it, just to have it to offer it, to show that you know you have another service.
Yeah.
More tools in the toolbox. Does anybody have any questions?
Anybody got any questions for Lenny? Today?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Is it for, the renovation? Is it with preferred contractors or?
Yes, we have a list of licensed preferred
Sure, yeah.
contractors. You can use your own contractor if they're willing to sign up with the program.
Is it fee for them some?
Nope. No, we just have to show them how, basically how we do it, how they'll get paid. As soon as the project's completed, we pay the contract. No draw, they basically have to be able to carry the work, you know, lay out the materials. As soon as they're finished, the homeowner or the realtor will sign a completion certificate saying all the work is done and it's fine, and then we pay the contract. He's done. So. Any other questions?
Great questions,
That's a
Martina.
great question.
We good? All right.
All right, enjoy your meeting and lunch. Thanks, guys. Have a good
It is not next
Wait,
Tuesday,
hang
the
on.
one after that.
The 19th. If you want to come on the 19th, we're having our Thanksgiving feast. And we'd love to see you. Yes. Did I see Miss Kathy or Miss Tammy in the room today? Tammy. There's Tammy. Look, how you doing, baby? Good?
Thankful for you too.
Yeah,
We gotta do that again.
Oh, the paint and stuff. That was a time. We had a lot of stuff.
We did.
Yeah, so don't do this next time. I'm telling you. Wow.
Love it. Hey, guys, good morning. So we saw interest rates adjust slightly, right? I think after the presidential election, I think the dust settled and we did see a little bit of improvement. So we're keeping an eye on interest rates. But I also wanted to chat briefly and then I'm gonna chat about what we have going on after this meeting. Home affordability, as we know, is gonna depend on interest rates, but we're also seeing, as you guys know, the incline on the insurance as well as property taxes. So I just want to make sure that you guys, once you identify the property and you already have your client pre-approved, please be sure to circle back with the loan officer, have them pull the actual property tax bill, make sure that that tax bill is in line with what they need for their debt to income ratio, and then have them shop the insurance. We're seeing the premiums come up quite a bit, and we have vendors here in the office that can definitely assist with that. We're recommending if they're tight, really, really tight, maybe take a larger premium, in closing, to be able to do that. I'm sorry, higher deductible, maybe a lower premium to offset the debt to income ratio. So we just want to make sure that you guys are not only double checking the interest rates when they find the property, but double checking the property and taxes and insurance as well, so that your client doesn't have any surprises at closing. And then lastly, if you guys are going to be with us after the meeting, we have a HomeBot training. So this is an amazing platform if you guys are wanting to do that. We have lovely Roxy gonna log into her actual.
Lovely, Rob.
Yeah, lovely Roxy. She's gonna actually, we're gonna log her into her actual account so you guys can get it from a realtor's perspective on how to maximize this platform. So again, as a reminder, we are seeing this particular one, your clients, the borrowers, the owners of the property are definitely diving into this report. They're getting inquiries and they want to be able to figure out if you're tied with us. We circle them back with you when we get our report to make sure, hey, they're having the questions around their equity. They may want a CMA, so we're definitely getting them back.
So not only
Even
is this-
retention.
Yeah, and not only is this something that you can sign up for, but it's a lead gen strategy.
Yes.
That's the base of it. That's why it's so important for you to learn these tools, because this is a lead gen strategy for you to have touches with your clients on a regular basis.
Can I click on my HomeBot email every time I get it?
Oh.
I mean, y'all, every single, your home value, I'm like, oh, cool. It's something I always
Oh, we
click
love
on,
it.
so it's.
So many folks coming
Yes,
back.
ma'am.
So do we get a copy of the lead track too, or does it just go to you and then you let us know that?
You get a report.
We do too.
Mhm. When you
phenomenal.
download your database, you get that report. You're seeing who's interacting, who has questions in regards to the equity. It is a really, really great platform. So from 1 to 2 here, if you guys can join us. All right.
Today.
Today.
The day after the meeting.
What you said about insurance, home insurance?
Yeah, the home insurance premiums have gone up quite a bit. We've noticed this last year. And so we're asking people to definitely shop that if it's affecting their overall debt to income ratio, just to have options.
And then she said, what did the higher, if you go with a higher
You go with the
deductible,
higher
just like
deductible,
auto.
you'll get, yeah, and bundling, we're
And we have
encouraging
someone
that
in
as
the room that
well.
does insurance. So we can help you with all that.
All of that. All right.
Great, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome. I got to think of this today. I mean, this is something that really works. Get somebody. I think we have any of our attorneys in the office with us today. I know Amy should be coming back shortly. She has the most adorable little child I've ever seen, so I've been enjoying vicariously through Facebook. That's your Michael and Bray team. Kelly is not here. Wow. Gita and Tammy, nobody today, all right. But I know who is here. But I know who is here. Our very favorite. So similar, and all. So tell us what's going on today.
So I'm going to talk about the benefits of EDVM. not to be confused with EDM, electronic dance music, which I once used the mistake of doing in my own home, and my brothers will never let me forget.
You guys want to, just let me know.
So what is EDVM? EDVM stands for Every Door Direct Mail, and it is a type of mailing that is really, really beneficial to realtors. What is the reason? So kind of skip over the boring stuff. Most mail gets sorted again and again and again to make sure it's going to exactly where that address is. The fun with Every Door is that it goes to an entire postal route instead. So the perk of that is that it skips all the sorting. It goes straight to that post office and then straight on the truck where the driver drops it off at every single house. So how does that help you guys as realtors? Well, first off, the benefit is it typically arrives in 1 to 2 days. So that's super, gives you the advantage when you're advertising your listing or open house invites, because you can get them set off that week to have it later. So say typically we recommend no later than Wednesday. And then they're in the people's mailboxes at the latest Friday. And so then your open house is full. Typically neighborhoods are a really good way to do that. Another thing is the low cost. Since we're sending to an entire postal route, the cost per piece instead is 83 cents versus $1.15 for first class. And that's because we're skipping out on the stamp and we're doing it in bigger bulks.
Do they have to do the whole poster route?
They do.
Okay.
So the benefit of that though is I've seen with many of our clients with farming, they want to start off farming their neighborhoods. And as we're looking at the neighborhood, we figure out it actually tends to be maybe a little bit more affordable to actually send it Every Door direct mail every single time because of the price per piece being low and the neighborhood being so large. So that is also something to consider, especially with consistency. You know exactly what your budget's going to be every single month. So yeah.
So when it gets addressed to people, this is for the whole neighborhood?
Yes.
Does it have their name on it to say current?
So with Every Door direct mail, there's no address box at all. So that's another benefit. You have more room to advertise because there is no stamp that needs to be put on it and there's no address on there. So
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So kind of to get a little bit into the details, you are selecting a postal route. We, if you were to do it through us, print it, bundle it, take it directly to, say, if it's a Roswell location, the Roswell post office. They see the postal route, they put it on the driver's truck, and the driver knows, okay, with every single stop I make, this is going in people's mailboxes.
That is so interesting.
About how many houses are in a?
So it really does range. I've seen as low as 200 in kind of the Lawrenceville area up to 800 in more populated areas like Atlanta. Yes.
Postal route, I don't know, track or that's something different.
Completely different things.
So the zip codes that do you go by the code of cities that you work in, or because you take those to the post offices specific, or?
We work in a pretty large area. We will let you know, but we as Diana Devers have driven up to an hour and a half to get to the particular post office. So I've gone as far north as kind of blanking on it. Definitely Dawsonville. I think I know there's one city north, and we've got it all the way to South Atlanta. So,
And you did great, wonderful work.
yeah, ball ground. Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, ball ground, we've done it.
They did that for you in Ball Ground?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then for benefits, we will.
Hang on. You got a listing.
From that, it's beautiful, but it's big.
Look at you, yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yes. you did.
That's my favorite thing. People are like, I sent out mail and I got a listing. I'm like,
Yes,
yeah,
you did.
okay.
So you know what, all we can do is just so we can see Chandler come up here next week and go, yeah, just. We're all of them. Yes.
Camera, the other day, and it had a little book instead of a gate.
Yes.
Brochure, it had a little book, and 10 pictures of it folded up. Do y'all?
Yes. Was it really tiny?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are our tiny folds.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it was incredible.
Did you like it? Thank you.
Yes, I took it. I'm gonna get some.
I wish I had one with me. Those are actually a Diane Endeavors exclusive.
Can you bring it
Jane.
next week?
Yeah. Yes. James invented them himself, so you really can't get them anywhere else. I love them.
So it was a listing that you went in and it had a little bit.
It was an
Yeah,
outbreak.
they're like a little tiny brochure and you kind of unfold them slowly, and it has like it's a square, and so then it's a photo, photo, photo. And when you unravel it completely, there's 2 photos and the listing description right in the middle.
Will you bring that there?
That's what on the back also. Yeah, so photos on the back and then.
Let's talk about that next week. Thank you.
Well, of course, if you guys have any more questions, or if you need me to like start pulling a postal route for you, let me know after class, or not, this is not a class, sorry, I taught a class yesterday. But after team meeting, and I'm happy to like discuss it more in detail with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is your contact?
I can write that number down, or actually, let me give you,
on the slides as well.
Yeah.
Here, so we don't have it.
Here it
is.
oh, that's me.
Okay, oh, we need to update that. Oh, good to know. Yep, good to know. We will update that.
Oh,
Thank you.
Me write it down.
Y'all, she's just hyper responsive. I mean, it's incredible. Whenever you reach out to them, they get right back to you and they get right on. So I love the fact that you could send out like a just listed or an open house and it just takes a couple days to get there. That's pretty amazing. All right, thank you, sweetheart. You're amazing. We'll see you next week.
One tool to show everybody.
One tool. One know it, Miss Raven.
All right, guys, I'm gonna show you one tool to run your business today, and it's gonna be a very quick one.
Which one?
Sam's Jackson's social media and text prompts that he sends out every month,
Yes.
that goes straight to your email. I just want
Are
to.
y'all getting that? Are you getting those? Are you
If you're
editing
not,
those?
just
Are you looking?
contact Sam.
Fiona's dying, but she's saying yes. Yeah.
It tells you what to do every single week, and there's actually helpful links.
It's every day. Y'all, it's not even every week. It is every day he gives you a social media prompt. It is amazing. I print them out and I put them on my desk. And it's like, it's a no-brainer. You come in, you look at them and there they go.
And then he has a golden text at the bottom of each one as well. So check those out. And that's my trick. for
I
today.
love that.
It's a quick, short tool.
I use it. I use that.
How do we get that? Because I'm not getting it in my email unless it's still in the screen.
So I would contact Sam. They should be going to your email on file with the office, and if you can confirm that. you can- All right, I have a special guest
And if
coming
you-
up next, Julie.
Okay, let me say one thing. Don't opt out of the email. If you don't want to look at the emails, that's great. But if you opt out, that's when you start not getting things. So do not opt out of the emails. If you don't want to read it, that's fine, but I don't want you to miss anything. Don't opt out. Especially.
Yeah.
Well, at least we can get on up here. Oh! There. And watch me. How can you think down with it down? I didn't see it.
So did you hear some of the lyrics?
Yeah.
Burn, baby, burn. So I've got my fire boot here.
I love that.
So it is that time of year when
Don't
we
sit down.
we are,
Or you can sit.
so it's that time of year when we are preparing to prepare food to our 7 fire stations in Roswell and the police department. So this is our annual event. And the signups has been going out and we are still in need of like mashed potatoes and corn. So who's cooking this year? You're afraid to raise your hand. Okay. So maybe if you're cooking mashed potatoes, you could do a tin of mashed potatoes, just one, and bring it in. We are actually delivering the food this year on Thanksgiving. So we still need a few more drivers. So what we do is we have food for all 7 fire stations and the police station. We bring it here the day before Thanksgiving or by 9 o'clock. I think that's what I put on there. Thanksgiving, and we package it all up and then we take it to all the fire stations. Any questions?
Easy, take out your phones now and scan the sign up if you're interested.
Or if you don't have time to cook and you want to, throw in a few bucks, we can take care of it for you. Yes.
9 AM.
You can bring it in the day before.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 days is fine. Yeah, we'll just put it in the
And
refrigerator.
y'all, how easy is it to make an extra 10 of mashed potatoes?
But you can't take it on the day before Thanksgiving because they'll eat it.
Yes, last year we had an issue. Women would never have done this, okay? We took the food in the day before Thanksgiving with instructions, do not eat this for the crew on Thanksgiving, and that crew started eating it. So on Thanksgiving, we get a call from the fire chief saying, did you guys not deliver
Oh,
food?
no.
So anyway, so this year we're gonna do it on Thanksgiving. Okay, so I've got a fire boot if you want to throw any money in. If you don't feel like cooking, we're happy to do it for you.
Mrs. Elkhart, they're waving around bills. Look at that.
I only have.
Oh, look at Brett. Oh, we know where y'all hang out. I'm just saying.
They don't like it when I come up here because they said it feels like church. But it's for money or something.
Pass the bucket. Oh,
Yeah, well,
I love inviting the visitors to have the big, yeah, that's what we do here in Roswell. Oh, I love it.
and then lastly, real quick. Yep, I'll walk around with this. Lastly is our grands. Who's participated in that before? Okay, so this year we have a tree over here. And we have 23 kids on here. One year we helped 100 kids, but I didn't want to over obligate this year. And so Foster Care Support Foundation has a grand raising grants program because a lot of the kids that they help are being raised by their grandparents. They're 70 and 80-year-old grandparents raising 4 to 8 kids. And they're on fixed income. So if you're interested in adopting a child, here's the directions and feel free to take one of these. But please, important is text me a picture of this and it's all on here so I can keep track of who has who. Okay, any questions on the grants raising grants? Feel free to come talk to me afterwards.
Let's try to clear that tree off by the end of
We've been doing
the,
this
end of the
every year for
meeting,
several
you know,
years.
after the meeting is over, if we can have 23 people go up and sponsor a kid and have that done with, that would be phenomenal. And I know everybody's having a hard time, but we're all super blessed.
Okay, thank you.
So, thank you. Thanks, Roxy.
You're welcome.
Roxy and her theme music.
Oh, wait, I want to get that recipe. Oh, I'll get it on.
You get it. Here, go ahead, scan.
You guys might
Go ahead,
like the
scan. You have a
recipe.
scan.
No, the recipe's a click button.
Oh, it's a scan one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's a minute. All right. The recipe, the most important part of all this, the recipe on the slide.
Yeah,
So-
you sign up, you can go and click on the recipe.
Here you go. Go get that recipe and like the sponsor or something. Just kidding. Once again, our daily phone call every day except for Tuesdays. If y'all are on it, you know the value. It is a good phone call. And on Thursdays and Fridays, they practice scripts. I know nobody likes the word, but y'all, they're good scripts and it's situational and things that are applying to you in this market. So if you can do it, let's do it. Orientation Mondays. We have a lot of new people. If you have not attended the Market Center orientation and the tech orientation, Market Center orientation is with the lovely Raven. Tech orientation is with the lovely Lucy, and you can come in at 9:30, stay till 12, and learn everything you need to know about getting into command, all the tech stuff. They will take care of you. So if you have not gone to these 2 classes, I need you to go. So I'll make that commitment. That would be phenomenal. We are having a career day on November the 13th, which is tomorrow. Yes. If you have someone who is thinking about real estate, a career in real estate, if you want to add to your downline, send them to this, come to this. This is a great informational step. And we all need to grow our down. Melba, look at Miss Melba up there. Code of ethics. All sessions from 10 to 1. She will be here tomorrow from 10 to 1. If you have not taken your code of ethics, it is required. It is free. Come get your code of ethics. Melba is entertaining, to say the least. All right, if y'all know Melba. So it will not be time wasted, and it's something that we have to do to renew our life.
And if you can't come on the 13th, you can come to any one of these.
Yes, I'm sorry. I forgot. This one's already happened. The one up at our sister up there at KWNA. Chat North is going to be the 15th, but then they're doing another round down through here. But please don't wait.
Yeah.
If you can get in here and do it, get in here, get it over with, get it done.
If you don't have it done, you'll lose access to your guard contracts, which you use with your clients, and you'll lose access to your membership. You got scared me.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, that scared me just a little bit. That scared me.
Make sure to get it done. If you can't come to any of those sessions, contact me and I'll tell you some digital ways to do it.
Yeah, and there are, but we need to get it.
I
done.
took mine online and, you know,
I did too. I went to MLS and I took mine. through MLS.
Melba's more entertaining by far, but I got that online.
Just don't do it on the 30th of December.
Thank you, Kathy.
Because then they have to have time to put it in their records and
You will lose access to your forms.
you'll lose access to your forms and then they'll contact Raven and say, hey, this person didn't, this is not real.
Yes, ma'am.
And to double check, if you've taken the class, then why for some reason did it show?
Okay.
Oh, I just showed up at this.
Okay, if you have taken the class through here and it is not showing up, let us know.
Yep, and you're not gonna wanna check for your status on rec, you can contact me directly, or you can go log into your Board of Realtor membership page, and it'll say right on the dashboard, code of ethics completed for the cycle, yes or no.
We got it? All right. We are having our big Thanksgiving celebration next Tuesday, the 19th. Sign up right here. Once again, you will get a copy of these slides and bring something to share. We have some exciting food. I love to eat, y'all. We have some exciting food that's going to be here on the 19th. All sorts of different things. We're gonna have ham and a turkey, provided by our wonderful affiliate partners, and then we're gonna bring everything. It's gonna be fun. There's not gonna be a team meeting. We're just gonna hang out, which we are all very good at. So sign up. I would love to see you here so we can all celebrate together as a family. Level up your business. Mr. Andy, Thursday, November 4th. Got lots of fun this week.
Yeah, we do.
We're trying to cram it all in there before the Thanksgiving holidays. So, I know a lot of you guys have been to this before, but there's going to be a watch party on Thursday and it's going to be virtual, obviously. What is up here? Oh, take a walk we're going on safari. I guess. Take a walk on the wild side, 3-hour class look, y'all. We're going to talk about rats, raccoons, and roaches. Just get that. Oh my goodness, what is this? This is Friday, November 22nd from 10 to 1. Hopefully he won't bring any examples. So, business planning workshop with Miss Lordana.
Save the date for December 5th.
Yep, and it's up on the counter as well. If you have not done your business planning, y'all, everybody needs to do your business planning. If you don't have a plan, it's not gonna happen. I met with Marinelli and Michael this morning and we came up with some goals and we're gonna stick those goals everywhere. We're gonna put them on our bathroom mirror. So we don't want to get away from the goals. We want the goal to be looking us in the face every day. Take this class before Donna and let's have an incredible 2025. We got 181 codes turned in. Does anybody have, what is the date?
Just brought it up to you.
Today.
Already on the table.
Okay, so we might have more than one.
Where you got 30 codes?
Last.
Don't ask. I got to Kim and Tumbo on that, if y'all remember that. No. I got the don't ask on that. So, thank you for that. Thank you for everybody who has donated to our coat drive. Here we go. And now it's time. You want to announce it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. Everybody.
Around, I can't help that.
I do it around the world.
Right? We have some very special guests here today, guys. We have Jan Alicardi, who specializes in land and residential. We have Brett Tilehaver, who specializes.
Yeah.
And then we have David and David Chatham, who run the Chatham.
Y'all.
Come on up here.
Come on up, guys. And I'm gonna say, being in real estate for 30 years, I've sold a lot of Chatham homes. And they don't get much better than that. So we are very, very excited to have all of these wonderful people here today. You gonna come, Miss Shannon? Okay, give her a minute. Give her a minute. There's your
We're
bed.
all gonna be speaking about development.
Thank you,
plan.
David, for being so cavalier. All right, you got the short chairs.
That's all right.
How did that feel?
I'm long.
I
always had your turn at the kids' table.
I feel that in my bones, so. all right, Miss Shannon. Oh, no, Brett's going first. Brett, Mr. Brett.
Hi, everybody. Brett Tyler, I'm your local commercial agent here in this office.
He's in the office, y'all.
And most people talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of land, but I'm gonna tell you about the great, the good, the bad, here, right? So first, what's great? GCI, that's our favorite word, right? I'm gonna show you how to take maybe 30 to 50,000 and turn it into 150,000 on one property. And we're gonna go kind of quick because I could sit here and talk to you for a whole hour about it. The nuances, and if there are terms that you don't understand, that means you need somebody to help you do it. From perk test, why a builder would like sewer. It's gonna go quick and it's gonna be complicated, but I'll always be there to help you if I can. So first, this particular piece of property was 70 acres, right? It had an old house here and land. Hunting stand here, looking land where the guy put tarp practice. The house was a single ranch, about 2,500 square feet, which, 50, 60 years old, right? Never redone. The hunting stand costs almost as much as the house. Right? So when I talked to the person who owned the land, an elderly gentleman, the first thing that came to mind was, how long have you had this for sale, right? And he said, 2 or 3 times. He had 5 agents over the years trying to sell this land. So the first thing you have to identify if you take this land on is why were the other 4 or 5 agents unsuccessful, right? Well, I took a 10-second look when I was doing my research and I found out why. Very important. They were advertising this one little house for $950,000. The house was worth maybe $200,000, right? And so when you're looking, going through the FMLS, you see 950, you see the little house, you're not seeing land. So first thing is first, you advertise it as land. Now, taking a step back and looking at it, when I saw it, first thing I thought to do was, we're gonna cut the parcel out. So you call the county, how many acres can we cut out without doing a survey? Survey is like $10,000, right? So 5 acres for this particular county, Gordon County, right? So the first thing I thought, I went back to the person selling it, and said, listen, here's my idea for you to make more money. Because if a developer comes, and they can tell you probably better than I can, they probably don't want this old house in the middle of their brand new development, right? I go, but in my opinion, for your sake, you won't be able to get any value from this house in your hunting stand if we don't cut it out. We have to be careful not to screw the land up, and that's where the important part comes in, is that you have to have enough street frontage to be able to get to all the houses, right? So if you took the wrong piece and you screwed the whole thing up, then you did a disservice to your client, not a service. So I went with this client, he goes, well, that's interesting. He goes, well, survey is $10,000. It's approximately for this piece of property. He goes, I'm not interested. Really? Okay. So I called the county, got 3 different surveyors, said, well, what do you know about this? The second surveyor said, oh, I know that. Well, how do you know it? He goes, I almost bought it. Really? I'm like, well, how much would you charge to just draw some lines? And I promise I'll use you for the actual survey if my plan works. He goes, I don't know, $500. Fair. So I called the owner and said, listen, I'm gonna get it done for you for $500. You know what he says? I don't want to spend any money. Okay, that's okay. I'll spend the $500. And I did, right? So now the ball is back in my court. I know for a fact that if we cut this out, when the houses were, selling right and left a few years ago, I knew that I could probably get 400,000 for 5 acres in the house. If we didn't remove this parcel, you're gonna get about 150,000 out of it. So if we paid $900,000 for the whole thing, and we sold 5 acres for 400, good thing, right? So let's go back to the great thing about it, GCI. So if you're the agent and you sold all this property for $900,000, 6%, right? 54,000, you probably split it, right? If you have another agent. But in this particular case, you want to sell to somebody that understands the value of the property, one of your clients. That way you get it coming and going. One's a client, one's a customer. The current client already said he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to parcel it out. So it's your job as a realtor to go out and find somebody that wants to do it. So the first, thought was I called my 3 big hitters at the list. You wanna make $500,000? I said, I don't know how long it's gonna take to sell this land. Most builders want sewer, I'll be honest with you. But when you look across the street and you have to notice what's in the area, there's a 200,000 square foot warehouse, another 200,000, another 200,000. Because in Adairsville, the land is just booming, right? In my opinion, they have to live somewhere. So we are going to find somebody, in my opinion, that will do the septic tanks and pay for this. Because all these little red dots, that's about $70,000. Now, I told them in the beginning, I don't know how long it's gonna take, and if you don't test the soil, we get unlucky, we're gonna have to have, one house here, one house here, and 1 or 2 houses here. So it's gonna be a whole different type of sale, right? What do you think? He said, Brett, I trust you, let's buy it. I said, I think we should test the soil. He goes, I don't want to spend $70,000. Within 2 weeks, I sold this piece for $400,000. Right? So he bought the land for $900,000. So $56,000 in GCI coming and going. Within 2 weeks, I sold this for $400,000. They had a realtor, right? So that was another what? 12,000, right? So we had 56, we had 12. And then what are we selling this for? $1.3 million. Within another month, I had somebody come in and say, I think I talked to you about this thing at one time, that they want to come buy it, but they have to have this. They don't want this old house. Originally, this guy, and I told him what the plan would be if you buy it, that somebody's gonna come to you because I'm gonna sell this. I was truthful with him. And at that time, he said he'd buy it, he paid $400,000. $600,000. He didn't want to sell it. Are you sure? And it's a lot of money to make in within a year, and you can, you're gonna have all this construction, people are digging, it's gonna be very uncomfortable. Are you sure you don't want to sell it? Don't want to sell it. Now we're back to the drawing board, we have to wait, which we did. Now we're gonna close on this next week, or in the next 2 weeks for 1.3 million. And lucky enough, does the other person have a realtor, a developer? I said, Fred, I want you to have it. I have one, but you worked so hard to help me get it. So now GCI, all of a sudden shot up another $70,000, $80,000, right? So on this one piece of property where 5 of the realtors couldn't sell it, one because they advertised it wrong and listed it wrong, right? And the most they probably would have gotten would have been the $30,000. I turned it into $150,000 because of a little vision. And that's where you come in there. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of hiccups to get there with all the, so we had the great, which is GCI, we had the good, there's nothing to look at, there's no paint color, there's no housing, there's nothing, it's land, that's the good. The bad is that this is agricultural, now you have to make it residential, so you have to go through the zoning, right? So you have to hope the county is friendly. The ugly is it costs a lot of money. So you have to do a lot of work to get here, but if you understand the project, it makes it much easier. So this is a typical example of how land can really make your year, right? So if you get any land and you want help and you say, Brett, I think that this could be a possibility of the property you did. Now, I haven't done this once. I've done this about a dozen times, whichever, not this big. Just happened to get lucky. But
So, before you say that, just know, guys, he's talking about double ending these deals with a client and a customer, okay? You have to have specific permission from one of the brokers in this office to be able to do that. So just when
if you go that route, now you advertise to everybody. It's your job, if you want to get it coming and going, it's your job to know people. You still advertise it to everybody. But if you're lucky enough to get both sides of it, you explain both of them, which is what you learned in your ethics course. I owe everybody honesty. That's why I'm at the top of my game, but there's no reason for me to lie. And I'm gonna treat everyone as a good thing. Now, in this case, when I went look back at this property, the first time he had it for sale was $750. From $750 to $850 to $950 to $1 million to $1.5 million. He was going the wrong direction, right? So I knew his bottom line was probably gonna be, $850. I sold it for $900. Right? I knew $850 was probably the number, but I was trying to do the best I could do for him and trying to do the best I could do for the other side. That's where it gets a little tricky on what Jen's talking about, is that while it's your job to be honest to everybody, you can't give the card on what you know when you have your client tells you in confidence that the bottom line is $850, right? It's your job to be mentally strong enough to get him as much as you can for him. And it's also your job as the other person to get them the best deal you can. So you wind up somewhere that's comfortable for everybody, and then everybody's gonna be happy. Do you have any questions?
Wow.
Sure.
Did you list the land or did you, just because you knew somebody?
I listed
You
it.
actually listed, where did you list it from?
I listed it, good question. FMLS, Georgia MLS.
And what
right,
section is that fellow?
Land.
Like, y'all
So
hear that? So
where before it was under, just residential, that's why nobody ever looked at it last decade. So I did it in CoStar, which is the commercial real. So guys like you, I'm sure have your agents look at CoStar for, so CoStar, Crexi, which I'm sure you guys do. I remember I brought this to you, right? You guys, most builders want sewer because they don't want to spend the 70 grand and it come out bad and they're like, uh-oh. Because then we have to just build in pieces of it. We got really lucky in that it hurt. So what's a perk test? Right? It's to have the soil, the water runs to the soil. Now, the reason I liked it when I first met it, because the first person I interviewed before my guy bought it was, what happens if it's not good? He goes, well, we go to the acre and we do it somewhere else. I was like, so it doubles our chances. That's why when he said, Brett, do I need to spend the 70 grand? I said, well, I would, but I can't tell you to spend your money. He didn't want to spend it, so we gambled. But we knew that if we didn't sell to all these houses, that eventually we'd get somebody that wanted, the acreage. They want a big house because oddly enough, in this neighborhood, what you have to observe, they have everything from 100-year-old houses to $1 million mansions. The neighbor, this is the biggest neighborhood I've ever seen in my life in Adairsville. The $400,000 cluster houses, they have everything. So I was pretty sure that there was going to be something that we could do with this flat, beautiful land. Very little fees and flat, beautiful. So the other obvious question is, why don't you buy it yourself? Which is the next thing you need to do. Is if you're going to buy land, you have to come up with 50 to 60% of the money in cash, right? And I didn't honestly know how long it would take to sell the rest of it. I thought it'd be quick. It took a year, almost a year and a half, because we had a contract a few times. For different reasons, they fell out. The first person was trying to resell it, another agent. Good for him, but bad for me because I made a bad choice. The second person who went and actually had the land rezoned, did all the work, didn't have any money. But he did all the work, which is great. So now we got it rezoned residential and did all the meetings and did all the stuff. So now we had all the paperwork down. Now I'm like, ooh. Then the next guy that came was the guy that wanted this house farm to do his development. And he said he would sell. Now he's like, I don't want to sell.
the guy got the permits and did all the stuff. He did that during the due diligence.
Yes, and he did all the work and paid all the money and did everything, but he was banking on somebody to bankroll him and that somebody didn't come. And I guess you guys will talk more about sewer versus non-sewer and what's important to you. But it makes our life as realtors much harder if there's sewer. The irony of the whole thing is that with less than a mile, they brought sewer to it. But the county said, we're never bringing sewer to this area. And they did, they brought it, but it was, and usually, I don't know, you'll have to say it better than me, but if it's over a mile, it's a little tricky on if you're bringing the sewer to the property. But they would have saved, septic tanks and 70 grand if the sewer would come. So land with sewer, lovely. Land without sewer, more work, but you see it's doable.
Thank you. Brett, I have a question for you. How did you gain the eye and experience for this type of vision? Like, if I look at this, I just go, okay, land, let's sell the land. Was it through training? Was it through certification?
Excellent question. So I'm a little bit of an oddball when it comes to everybody here, that I never took a hardly class for anything. I did everything online. I've been in sales. My family background is sales for my entire life. But I have a unique ability, thank God, that when I look at things, I can kind of piece it out. Now, a lot of people, and he might tell you, the builder might say, that was the dumbest damn thing you ever did. I don't want to have an old house in the middle of my development, right? But I was more sure than less sure that since this guy said he would sell it, that he would sell it. That's the reason I did it. But it's really just I've done it a bunch. Now, you have some parcels. The last time I did it was one easement land, and there was a house back here, which is a manufactured house. There's a garage right here. And over here on the first acre was a trailer, right? So naturally, what piece do you think you would want to sell first for the agent? 1, 2, or 3? We have 2. We have 1, the front parcel. Who said 3? Why 3? Well, it's easier because if you go from the back all the way up, then we don't have to worry about the back first, right? Because this particular garage could have been another house, could have been anything, and so you really want to have it up more developed to the front parts. Everybody wants number one. So they want the front parts, so they don't want to share the easement anyway. But as it turned out, and I told the person who was selling it, listen, these are what's going to happen. We'll probably need our first offer on 1, and that's the best offer. You don't have to sell it. Of course, 1 came within a week. And then it took months and months and months to get to 2 when we finally did 3. So you don't want to screw somebody's property up you know, with your vision, but you have to tell them the truth. It's better for you if you know, if it happens. It's better for them, hopefully, if it happens. In this particular case, the guy who bought it from me is ecstatic. He's gonna make about, I don't know, $700,000. Not bad for a little investment. At any rate, any other questions? Yes,
We'll wait for the speculation.
the company who's buying it, right? So it would have been great if the guy that bought it the first time, if he just would have done it, would have been much easier to sell. It's better, he wouldn't have to take a chance. Oh, soil's great, you know, now we just have to decide if we want to spend the money on the design for the septic tanks. We don't have sewer, but that would have been a blessing actually. But my guy, who has a lot of money, somebody might come and just want 3 parcels. And I explained that to him. We don't know what somebody wants. I'm gonna advertise it. I had 3 different surveys of lines for my $500. And then the real survey was 10 grand. So the guy got paid, which I kept my word. I said, please use this. Yeah, I kept my word as good as I can. The person who did it didn't have to use them, but they did. And it all worked out.
What about the rezoning? So did you have to pay the person who did the rezoning? You have to pay him?
No, that was the second person who did it in due diligence. It's their job, the person buying it. So I'm sure that they'll tell you that when they go buy a property and it's agricultural, that they're gonna go, it's their job to sell you guys, the community, on why they should have their development.
And it's just like when you're buying a residential home and you have your due diligence period, you wanna get all your testing and everything done during the due diligence period, this is the same thing. The perk test and all that stuff they're talking about, those are things that you wanna complete during due diligence.
But it's not 5 to 7 days.
No, that's part of it.
No.
Unless you're in Gordon County.
2 days.
But in most places, that's why land takes forever to sell, usually 180 days. Now, Gordon County is the only place I've ever done business with that'll talk to you today, 2 weeks later, you have it. Come to our next meeting, we'll do it. Very friendly. All the rest of them, whoo, brutal. Thanks, everybody.
We have Ms. Jan now.
Well, the Chathams are gonna go now.
Okay. Thank you guys for.
We have David and Gabe. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
Guys, not only have they been in the business building for what, over
76 years.
76 years now? But David has also been an investor in this office for a long time.
Yes.
Right? And their family has always contributed here and helped our agents here. So thank you guys.
Thank you guys for that.
I'm just gonna lead off. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to leave in just a minute. At 12 o'clock, I gotta get to Gabe's here to help out. I wanted to just take a minute and just mention my business partner, Harry Hammond, who unfortunately passed away yesterday morning. Close, dear friend. I met Harry when he was at Arvada, 40 years ago. We had a company called Northside Realty Associates years ago, sold that. And I started a company called Legacy Realty to just market our neighborhoods. And I hired Harry Hammond, who I was so impressed with at Arvada. And Harry came with me and we were doing very well and we were having people wanting to resell homes in our neighborhood. And I said, look, we can only sell these builders' homes. We're not, they're gonna go nuts if I start reselling. They really want us to focus on the new home business that you guys are doing. So I said, Harry, why don't we see if we can find a resale company and just start a separate company that just does primarily resales. And we looked at everybody, we looked at Max, Century 21, we interviewed everybody, and I had a call from Kay Evans, and she said, we're gonna start this new company called Keller Williams. And I said, Keller Williams, what is that? She said, it's a new company out of Austin, Texas. We think it's going to really do well here. You buy the franchise of an area, and you all know that story. So we looked into it, and I said, look, I want to meet Gary Keller. So we flew to Austin, Bob Polinsky and Kay and myself and Harry. We just drank the Kool-Aid that day. And so we actually bought the territory in this North Fulton area, north of the river, and started the outfit off. First, I'm gonna go fast because I know we got to hurry. I think it might be interesting to understand. And then we incubated Roswell and began the Roswell office, and we incubated Chat North and started the Chat North office. And it's an honor to come today and see all of you. I probably haven't met most of you, but we're so thankful. You asked, what we're thankful for, and I'm so thankful for all of you being part of this. You've built a beautiful business, and better days are ahead. I promise you. This spring market should be amazing, and we're all looking forward to that. Our company, as Gabe mentioned, is 76 years old. My dad started building and developing 1948. Just one house for he and my mother, and somebody came along and would buy it. So he bought the lot next door. I'll tell that story someday to you. It's a very interesting history of how all this occurred. We're a true family business. I have 3 sons, Gabe, which is the oldest, Miles and Lance, who I hope you get to know later, are involved. They're all in different parts of our company. And we build and develop and do brokerage and all the associated businesses with that. We developed over 150 neighborhoods and well over 6,000 homes throughout Metro Atlanta. It's an honor to be here today. We'll talk about exactly what we're going to talk about today, but I just wanted to mention Harry, because Harry was a part of all that, beginning with our Alpharetta office. And about 5 years ago, he began to have issues, retired, and I had the opportunity to buy out his interest and see all this grow. But I love that guy, and I'm going to miss him. And I talked to Janie yesterday morning, and she's doing fine considering, but it was a tough illness, especially toward the end. But please remember that family in your thoughts and prayers. And I'm sure we'll get more details about arrangements if you're interested, maybe today. So thank you for letting us be here. I just wanted to introduce this and mention Harry and all this. And thank you for your hard work. And we want to be a resource to help you with land and lots and whatever you have. And we're actually going to be back next month to teach a class on exactly how do you list and analyze and sell land and lots, and what do builders think. If you can think like a builder, you'll do a much better job at listing and understanding land. And you did a great job, by the way. That was a great case study that you just did. And we'll bring some case studies ourselves next month when we come to teach that class. So thank you for letting us be here. I hate to leave early, but you're in good hands with Gabe. Thank you.
Well, I'll share just a second. So so next month, so again, I'm Gabe. I guess it's pretty obvious here. Also 3 boys. So my brothers and I, we've got some other folks that work with us. True family business. We strongly believe in nepotism, so we got to kind of keep it in the house for better or for worse. But really, so I got to work with my granddad. High school summers, growing up, and even before I could drive, Dad would drop us off somewhere, and we'd sweep out houses and clean up streets, and so kind of learned it from that end, but it's really been a fun family business, and we certainly love it. So we have our own real estate team. We're based in the Keller Williams North Atlanta office, and we actually have a satellite office because we ran out of space there. Birmingham Road, Birmingham Highway, if any of you travel kind of that northwest corner, kind of Milton area. So anyway, so we'll get into a ton of detail on that because there are so many great questions that you have, so many things that we can share. And really, I'll preface all this by saying too, like I probably get a call a day from somebody in one of our 3 offices asking about land, lots, just trying to help folks. So 99% of the time, I just usually coach people through those opportunities. But so I'm always available, Dad as well. But really, I mean, you talk about people who are in your office every day. I think the first call is always great to go to Amy or Brett, especially when there's opportunities. So I certainly want to promote them, and they're going to be a phenomenal resource here locally. I actually grew up here in Roswell, so if you go up the Howes Way and turn left, go down to you see Chatham Park. It was just one house for us growing up. Now we developed it into a neighborhood. Typical developer stuff. You have one nice house, you tear it down and build a bunch of other houses. So, and then across the street, Grand Meridian was where my grandparents were. My granddad that started our company. And so it was the old Roswell golf course. It was a 9-hole golf course. And so granddad bought it, immediately put cows out there, and then refurbished some of the buildings on that property to house some other fun stuff. So anyway, so it was fun. Growing up, we take our go-karts across the street, and that's when the only college you'd get on Howes Way where the cows got out, so it wasn't a traffic accident typically. So anyway, so I grew up around here and always felt like the old guy in the room because I remember when this was a certain way. People are like, you don't seem quite as old as, somebody in a retirement home that would know these stories. Anyway, we love obviously this area. I think Dad said it best. We really want to help, encourage, support you guys and what you're doing. Anyway, 1,000 things we talked about in land. And so Dad and I kind of taught this class a few times. We'll teach in a few weeks, but really most of it is based on, here's a case study. I think Brett's was spot on. Here's a scenario, and it's all going to be places that you probably drive by. And so for us, again, it's really fun to be in this business. So I think big picture, when it comes to land, there's so many different ways to analyze it. And Brett touched on some of it. Is it typically the first few questions, somebody calls, hey, I've got this, I sold a house for somebody. Now they've got some family land. What do we do? Oftentimes the original questions are zoning, septic versus sewer, location, school district. A lot of the things that you're probably already thinking on a traditional home sale. But the land process is so much longer. There's so many questions. Typical home inspection, here's a list of 25 things we want to address. 10 of them are important. You can take through that list quickly, negotiate that out. When it comes to land, there's all kinds of stuff. Water sometimes is your best friend. Sometimes water, creeks, streams, lakes, it can be your worst enemy sometimes based on, lot yield. So for us, from the developer builder perspective, we always kind of reverse engineer it. People always want to talk about price per acre, and that's a very good measurement. But the reality is, it's really how many units can you create in a piece of property based on zoning? Is there a rezoning process? What's the temperature locally, politically for that? And it's not red versus blue. It's, what does the county commission think? What does the city council think? We spend a lot of time with elected officials just because, A, we want to know, from the practitioner standpoint, here's what we see and think, but also get some feedback, get some thoughts. Mike will speak to that. And so Dad was president of the Greater Atlanta Home Builder Association in 1985, and I was president in 2020, and I'm vice president this year of the State Association. I'll be president of the Home Builder Association of Georgia next year. So we're, local offices. We go the Capitol a good bit. We actually go to DC, talk to our elected officials there too. So anyway, all that stuff's important. Again, it's not red versus blue necessarily. A lot of it is just relational and how do we talk through these things. And as y'all know well, no matter which side you're on, housing was a top tier discussion point. So how do we help, in that process and try to provide? Because obviously builder developer kind of gets a used car salesman reputation along the way. So we try to say, hey, we've been here a while, been doing this a while. We live in these communities. We send our kids to these schools. So trying to help folks see kind of the person behind a lot of these real estate opportunities, not just some kind of a big outside group coming to do these things, but we're here, we're local. So for us, a lot of our product is what we call builder programs. So we'll develop a community. And then oftentimes we won't necessarily as Chatham neighborhoods will develop property. As Chatham built homes, sometimes we'll build, sometimes we won't. There's such demand from local builders for lots and they can't create them fast enough. So oftentimes we can kind of help create those opportunities. So oftentimes we'll bring in builders that we know can handle the product type. We still work through the process of approving plans and then help them execute that on the back end. We'll list those homes too. So it's kind of one cohesive marketing campaign. So a bunch of different ways to do it. And through all the different recessions of 76 years, Dad and Granddad, and now our third generation tried to learn through all those different curves and figure out what's best as we come out on each side of those. So get more creative, get a little more nimble. But anyway, great business, as you all know, especially in this area. So we're appreciative to be here. So anyway, all that's a teaser. December 11th,
12,
12.
10 to 12.
Yes. We'll find a sponsor for lunch, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll split somebody's time.
Yeah. Is 2 hours enough for your class?
Yeah, that's fine. No, it's good. Yeah, because usually we say 12.
Well, December 12th. 10 to 12.
10 to 12.
And so, yeah, but again, we're a resource here.
What are we learning that?
So much of it is we'll talk through all the different things. If you hear of a piece of property, you're helping a client buy something, or if you've got some clients that need to sell something, how do you look at it? How do you try to figure out here, what are the top few questions? If you don't have answers to those questions, where do you find those questions? Brett touched on several key points. Where do you spend the money? Sometimes the seller's willing to spend it, sometimes the buyer's willing to spend that money. So you're kind of talking through those things. And then what's, I think, great too, is sometimes it's all about who you know, as you guys are well aware. So who would be the players for this? Like, hey, I got this great piece of property. Maybe you talk to somebody in your office, like, man, I've got several calls, builder looking for something in this area. Maybe there's an opportunity here. So much of it's about the detail, the technicality of it. We've got, I think, 4 case studies, stuff that's Milton, Alpharetta, East Cherokee. Again, all different places, different zonings, different products types, different ways you kind of execute that process. And so anyway, so what's good for us when we do list land, you know, if we get a call, somebody wants to buy something, we kind of know, all right, here's what's reasonable, you know, for a purchaser to ask for, here's what's not reasonable. So we kind of help protect our sellers, in those cases when the land's not a fit for us, it could be for somebody else. So anyway, all those kind of key points, but the case study is really what's fun. I mean, Brett's case study was great. So those are the kind of, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I know what that is, or I've driven past that, or I've wondered about that. So that kind of helps. And then you'll have 1,000 questions, which Dad and I'll do our best to answer. So anyway, look forward to
Awesome.
seeing this. So I just teased you right there. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You guys do a great job of keeping up with trends.
Mhm.
Like I, you have some question marks, something you have some home.
Yeah.
And the design was even like more pertinent now, like your flooring and
Yeah.
the that's you utilize it.
Sure.
I live in Litchfield and I'm
Yeah.
sure you've heard the Ashford, like Scandinavian kind of
Uh-huh.
thing happening there. How far do you all feel like you're attached with what, I mean, as far as design or what, you know, in smaller homes? I think I'd be really interested in that.
Sure.
To, you know, from a perspective of not just what people are redoing their house.
Yes. Mhm.
But, you know, I think there's a next, getting from that farmhouse thing. You know, what's the next thing you all see in terms of design of homes and then also, materials?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can go into a little detail, you know, next month as well. But yeah, really, we're Southern Living Custom Builder. We won that award in 2021, Custom Builder of the Year. So for us, that's kind of the style we gravitate towards. You know, we always say there's a lot of right answers. You know, everybody's got different opinions. You know, but for us, we kind of tend to go that way. Plus, because we grew up around here, in fact, Granddad was a sharecropper, a lot of these communities before they ever were able to buy anything. In fact, Saddle Creek, quick story, I know you didn't ask. He sharecropped that property. And then he had a chance years later to actually buy it. And so like his dad, you know, brought a mule and a scoop up there. And like dad recalls the moment, like the greatest moment of his life is like, we could never afford this land. Now we bought it and developing it. So anyway, some cool stories there. But point being, we typically tend to try to do stuff that's a little bit more contextual. You know, again, the modern look is awesome. I mean, it's, y'all probably live in some of those places and they're phenomenal. But for us, it's like, you know, what would be contextual to this area? Even Dad does a phenomenal job of figuring out, all right, what was the context of this place? A lot of neighborhoods are named after the people that own that property, like Ronzaville here in Minnesota Creek, that's the name of the family that own that farm. Brookfield West, I always call it, it's Brookfield to all of you, but Brookfield West. Anyway, just some neat concepts of how that came about. So yeah, so a lot of our trends are kind of more traditional, but still a lot of modern touches. But yeah, that's something we can share as well. And that meeting, that's a great question. Yes, sir.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Where do you see Roswell, well, let's just say North Michigan, over the next 10 years horizon, like, you know, pockets of opportunity, you know, just think, or just more strategic view, you know, and North Fulton's got its own kingdoms.
Yeah, sure.
Stories,
Sure,
you know.
yeah.
But how do you see us 10 years out? You know, it's generally as a community.
Sure, yeah, great question. You know, a lot of our historically development's been on this side of 400 and primarily because much of it has been historically septic tank type opportunities, not just plenty of sewer on this side. And really that side, if you notice, east side of 400 has typically been a little bit more dense. Maybe you know the story too, and Mike could probably tell it, but you know, historically when 400 was coming up, Roswell just wanted one exit. Alpharetta said, we'll take as many as you can get. And you'll see great development in Roswell, again, I'm native of here. And then a lot of that great new development kind of skipped over. And obviously it's being backfilled a little bit. So I would say a lot of stuff we're looking at now is deals we wouldn't have done 10, 20 years ago because they're smaller, they're a little trickier. But in fact, one of our case studies is a deal in Alpharetta that we've done. So a lot of times just getting creative, you know, what's the local opportunity, what's there, what could be there, what could be zoned, and again, what's the political climate to figure out what, you know, what could be approved here. Because it's interesting, you know, every zoning we've ever been to, there's always pushback. But then in the end, people point back to that neighborhood as that was awesome. I mean, Dad could tell you great stories about North Farm and Crabapple, how much opposition was there, and now people are like, where can we get another North Farm? Those prices, my gosh, it's mind blowing. So anyway, so those kind of opportunities. So yeah, so I think a lot of it, and I was talking to some of the Roswell staff, we had a home builder event here a month ago, close by. And it was interesting to hear, you know, it's kind of like, they're just not the big chunks of property. So a lot of it's redevelopment, as many of you are seeing. How is that done effectively? How does it kind of hit the live, work, play check boxes that a lot of local officials are looking for, which I think is a great trend. Because many of you know the retail succeeds when you've got, you know, housing component close by. So the mixed use stuff is really interesting. It's kind of its own animal separate from your, you know, one-off fee simple lot development. So That's a great question. I wish I had more insight. The strategic plans are all interesting, but as you know, that stuff can change, with each new cycle. But I do think, we'll probably see more redevelopment than new development, if you will, because I feel like most stuff's already been spoken for, pretty well signed on zoning. So yeah, that's a great question. Yes, ma'am.
Is there still a big delay from the COVID days with materials, or is that kind of?
Material stuff is, it's cleared up a lot. And most builders got savvy enough to say, all right, what's on the shelf? Send that to me as opposed to waiting on a certain product. So I would say most of that stuff's been worked through, and most distributors have gotten creative, because otherwise they weren't gonna sell any products. They've gotten creative on how to make that work. But yeah, there was a stretch there where it was like, you're paying a crazy premium to get certain products, push housing up, price points. So, but the stat nationally is 24.5% of the cost of a new home is in fees, regulatory fees. And so sometimes we're like, man, why is everything so expensive? It's not necessarily the sticks and bricks. It's not that builders are making a killing, although, everybody figures out a way to make a living. Much of that's in fees and regulations. So that's always something we're working on too, from the home builder's perspective. So anyway, I don't want to steal your time.
I'm not gonna take too much more of you guys' time. We're running a little short, but, one of the things I did want to say is, right now, in this climate, land is great. Everybody wants land. I get 10 calls a week, somebody wanting a piece of land. However, land is at a premium, just like houses, okay? So you need to be careful when you have buyers, because you want to make sure you steer your buyers in the right direction. There's 4.5 acres I was talking to Rachel about today. It's up in Cumming, and it has a stream that runs catty corner across the entire property. However, knowing what I know about land, it's still buildable because I know where the setbacks are. And how many of you guys in here know what the setbacks are for water? Anybody know what setbacks are? And it doesn't even have to be a running stream. 75. Kathy Ray, she does lake property. So, she does lake property. So there's a lot of stuff that's different up by the lakes that's not, what we typically deal with every day here. So you really have to, be very cognizant of what you're doing when you're taking buyers out to look at land. Right now, everybody wants land. All the flippers are moving to becoming builders. Are you finding that? Because these flip properties, you have a $400,000 property. Well, they want 30% profit right off the top. Okay. You can't renovate those houses for less than $100,000 right now. The cost to renovate is just through the roof. And if you have a $100,000 budget, I guarantee you it's going to cost you $150,000 by the time you're done. Because you have so many surprises and your costs go up in the year it takes you to get from, day 1 to day 365. So the cost to renovate and flip right now is through the roof. And, the profit margin just keeps getting smaller and smaller. Whereas on a new build, they're more popular, more people want them, and less people are afraid of them. So these people that have been typically renovating are now moving to building. And, you want to make sure that you're in a situation, if you sell a piece of property to one of these people, that I had a lot listed up in Cumming. Well, it was recorded incorrectly by the county. It took us 2 months to figure out what was going on. It was subdivided from a great big parcel that was sold off. In this case, they used the rest of the parcel for multiple commercial spaces, and they parceled off 2/10 of an acre, perfectly big enough to build a house on it. However, there's no sewer, so it had to be septic. Well, guess what? The property next door has a well. So any of you know how far you have to have your septic tank from a well? Why would I know about the guy's property next door? I didn't know anything about it. It's 100 feet, in case you're wondering. 100 feet. Septic tank cannot go any closer than 100 feet, and they prefer it to be even further than that. So there's no possible way to put septic, even if we got a variance from the county, because that particular county, septic has to be 1 acre or more. So you have to know all of these things, and land is a wonderful thing to sell, but it's not, you're very lucky if you sell a piece of land in 6 months. You're very lucky if you find a piece of land for your buyer in 6 months. So, to me, it's the gravy of my business. I have other things that I do on a regular basis but the land listings and the land sales are, you know, something that doesn't come easy or quickly. However, I find it extremely gratifying because it's, you know, I grew up in Oklahoma, I grew up in the country, so I know a lot about it. And I enjoy finding out the different things. And how I got into land was my first client, one of my first clients had this piece of land in Roswell, and it was in a subdivision, and he wanted 35,000 for it. Like, wow, 35,000, I can sell that. Well, there was a reason. It's because it was the dump lot for the developer. It had tree issues. It had, you know, at every turn. And speaking to Brett, what we did was, you know, and I don't know why I got this in my mind. I'm like, well, this guy doesn't buy it. I'm going to tell him to give me all of his due diligence. So that's another thing that you learn when you do land is you stack your due diligence, because the first guy did due diligence. He got all the zoning, he got everything he needed, and then found out, I don't have the money to finish the project. So Brett collected this guy's due diligence, took it to the next buyer. Well, maybe the next buyer gets further, but he finds out, I don't want to deal with the arborist. You know, and in this case, that's what happened with me, because the arborists in Roswell and Alpharetta are brutal. If nobody's ever done new construction, the arborists are the hardest thing to overcome in new construction these days. They take forever, it costs a fortune, they're mean, and they do it, they just make you do it because they can. You know, that's what everybody tells me. I've never had to have one, but that's what everybody tells me. Now, don't anybody tell the arborists I said that, because then they'll be mean to me. But, you know, these are things that you learn as you go along. So if you're thinking about getting into land, partner with these guys, partner with Brett. Brett's a great partner. Right now, we have a deal we're trying to put together down in Douglasville. Piece of property for 29 acres that I found. It's an older gentleman. He's not very agreeable, but someday we're going to, we're going to put this under contract. And, you know, it was so great to see Brett pick up his phone the day we're standing in the driveway. I told the guy, I think I can sell this for you. What do you want? He told him. He picks up his phone and he remember he said he has his big three?
Yeah.
He has his big three, guys. So if you ever have a big deal, call Brett. Because Brett's got his big three. And he called this guy up. He says, I got this parcel of land, it's 29 acres. You know, it's got this much frontage, you know, and I did all the legwork before we went, you know, and found all these things out. And Brett and I went down there and talked to the guy. And if we can put it together, it'll be a great deal, because we're going to do both sides of it. And typically what I do when I sell land is I make the person who's buying it, if I'm on the buying side too, which I am typically now, didn't used to be, but a lot of times I am. I make them sign a listing agreement at the table that says when they build their new house, I get to list it. You know, because I did all the hard work. I found them the piece of property. Why does Roxy get the gravy, right? So that's, and you know, right, gravy, yeah. But I negotiate those things so that it's a win-win problems, right? I work really, really hard up front, and I don't work as hard on the backside, we hope. But, you know, those are ways that I stack my business and stack, you know, people that I can tap into so that, you know, it's profitable. Because I don't know if you guys have looked at land lots. Most of them are under 125,000, you know. If I'm lucky, I make 4,500. And it takes a lot of work to get those to close. So, you know, find ways to maximize your business when you're doing this.
And they can refer too. If y'all have a piece of land, we are not supposed to sell things that we do not know about as realtors. That's like when somebody says, can I sell in Macon? You sure can, but you don't know Macon and you're not fulfilling your duty to your buyer or your seller. If you're selling in a place you don't know, same darn thing with land. You can refer, sit back and not have to worry about all of these things that all of these people just told us about. Let them do the work.
And there's people out there that will partner with you. If you don't want to refer it, they will partner, you know, and that's a way to have a learning experience.
So you can learn or you can refer. Yeah. Either way, these guys are here to help you with that. Yeah. So.
And I mean, it's really important that you guys know what you're doing when you're selling it. Right now, I just terminated on a contract. It's an old farmhouse. It was built in the 1800s. These people were referred to me by an agent because they know that I'll drive to Jefferson, Georgia, to do a deal for them because they've been so good to me. And, so I did. We got them under contract. We got all the due diligence done. Well, first of all, there's termites, needs a new roof, the corner of the porch is falling down. But that wasn't what ultimately terminated this contract. Because they knew they were buying a house that was built in the 1800s. You know what terminated the contract? The well. They hadn't even thought about the well. There was actually 3 wells on the property. Well, that's kind of a trigger right there, you know? And guess what? There's bacteria in the well. You know, that I don't know why the people living there weren't sick, but there's bad bacteria in the well. So the well is not drinkable. You know? So you really need to know these things before you start trying to sell people property because there is a liability to it. And if you don't know, just ask somebody around here. Yes, I promise.
And Jan does quarterly, sorry, she does quarterly masterminds too on land. If that's something you're interested in, I highly recommend going to these masterminds just to see if it's something for you, so that you can start deciding if you did want to learn more about this, gain experience and partner with someone who's experienced in land.
I mean,
Instead of
last
having-
quarters was the poop class.
Yeah, I was
Maybe they
gonna
come to the
say,
poop class.
Teaches a great.
Oh, come on, nobody came to my poop class. It was, I have about 20 people here, but you know, I happened to have a client that had a septic tank that needed to be cleaned out. So I spent an hour and a half filming the septic tank being cleaned out. And it was great because the guy that was there doing the job, he was so knowledgeable and he did a class for me, you know, and I, having had properties that have had septics, I knew the questions to ask him. But, you know, it was a great eye opener for the agents that did attend that class. And I'll try to do it again sometime next year, but no.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And if we've learned nothing else, we know that if you can always have somebody to refer to.
Yeah.
Always have somebody to refer to, because sometimes land can be overwhelming. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I just was gonna say, I'm so glad that you brought that up about either refer or partner. Because Brett, the 3 agents or 5 agents that had that piece of property, maybe were they all residential agents?
100%.
See,
Because where did they list it?
residential.
Exactly.
So last year I had a client that I helped and it was for 50 acres up in Dawsonville. And a good friend of mine is a land broker, David Holloway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I was, you know, picking his brain constantly. So I know when we're brand new, sometimes too, you think, oh, I can do this deal because of the commission or whatever. But really, give up part of your commission and refer it or do it with someone else.
It's worth it because the thing, you know, it's the things that you don't know that will get you in trouble, you know, and you don't know what you don't know. You know, how did I know that that was the dump lot? You know, a neighbor told us. She called me up, why are you selling this lot? They dumped all the construction materials. But somebody wants it, that's why. But, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't know that. And you have to uncover those things. You have to talk to neighbors, you gotta talk to the county. I found out about the well up in the lot I'm coming from the county. You know, that well's not capped off. So unless it's capped off, you can't build there.
Thank you. Thank you for all of that. We appreciate it more than you know. And I think what we've got next is our top 8. We wanted to celebrate these people. These are the top 20 year to date, through the end of. So we've got the curtain team. We have Ramesh, Miss Connors. Oh, who's that down there? Brett. Let's give it up, Brett. Renee. So that's awesome. John Serrano, Jamie, Tatum. I gotta tell y'all a story about Tatum. I was doing an interview and I look out in the lobby and he's just bouncing around. He's just bouncing around. I'm like, what is Tatum doing? And I walked up there and I'm like, Tatum, what is going on? And he's got this chat. And I was like, what is that? And he said, I just closed, and I Tatum, what is it, 12, 13 years old? I don't know. I don't think he's old enough to be selling real estate, but he's bouncing around. He has a chat. I was like, what is that? Because it's the biggest closing I've ever had. And I was like, oh, and I'm thinking it's going to be like $30,000 or $40,000. I'm not going to give you the exact amount, but I'm going to tell you it was more than double my highest estimation, and on a $3 million property. So it's out there. it gave me goosebumps looking at the check. I was like, oh, I don't think I've never had a check this high. So y'all, it's out there. The business is out there. People are getting it. Tatum has not been in real estate that long, but he works hard and he works.
And people are having their best years ever in this.
They are.
All the people saying, woe is me, I'm not getting anything. Maybe try changing it up because people are getting deals.
And I know y'all are working. You might just have to work a little differently. Yes,
And I say, buyers starting to come out of, I want to add the woodwork.
they are.
They're coming
Like termite shop.
from underneath the rock.
Yes,
They've all been hiding out, waiting for last week to be done.
yes.
Yeah.
So reach out.
I went under contract with buyers this weekend who I've been working with for 6 months and they were like, waiting. And, you know, we saw a house, we won in a competitive multiple offer situation and we closed in 2 weeks.
It's out there. It's out there. Way back. So, Jerry Bill, Miss Maxson. I'm right at you. I know, right? Way to go. Way to go. The Schultes, Taylor Thompson, did I change her earlier today? I thought that I did. Okay. Christy Smith, Westland, and Miss Renee. Stephanie, who just had a birthday, I believe. Kim, Adam. Ross. And our inspiration for the week. The future is not something that happens to us. Most pertinent one, but something we build brick by brick. And success. So that's very pertinent for today's land panel. So thank you guys for being here. Have you built, what is that? Have you built up your business for a positive outcome this year? It's not too late. It's not too late to have a great outcome this year. As she said, buyers are popping out of the woodworks, and it'll also give us a great start.
I have one more thing, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Sam's email just came out this morning. It comes out as one email with the whole month of every day has this and this. I think it was delayed because of command.
Yeah, Command is having a couple of issues.
So I just got mine at 9:37.
Command is having a couple of issues that they are working through. So just so that you guys know what's going on with Command, there was a breach. And they are putting some more safety systems into Command, and that is what the delay is for. If you guys are having problems with Command, I apologize, but I promise you, in the end, it is for the good. So, yeah,
Whenever you're done.
I'm done.
Okay. Please come see me if you're interested in adopting a child. And then can I just share one funny thing? Okay. So this is about, I remember, probably 26, 27 years ago when I was in real estate, I got referred to, this ties back to referring it or partnering it. I got a call from, some people that wanted to buy a house down near the penitentiary. Has anybody been down there?
It's a great barbecue. It's a great barbecue.
So it was actually Cabbage Town.
Yes.
Okay, so this is when we had MacBooks. So I said, I don't know that area at all. But I'll give you the MacBook, I'll drive, and I'm gonna learn this area. So they knew up front, I did not know that area. We went out and looked at houses all day, one day. I was scared to death down there. And I get home that night, we're supposed to go out the next day, and I call them and I say, remember, I didn't know this area at all. I called them and I was like, hey, John and Betty, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. We had a great time today. And I look forward to finding that perfect house in Cabbage Patch.
Oh.
And they didn't even return my phone call. Anyway, I did call them back and say, I am so sorry. I just wanted to make sure you were listening. It's Cabbage Town, so if you don't know it, just refer it.
I cannot agree with her enough on that. Yes, that's actually fun. That is, caravan, the one, does anybody have a caravan going on today? Anything happening today or an open house? No, if you have something coming up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, will you please write it on the board so our agents can, so that you got our agents, so that you guys can see it when you're walking through the room and we can support each other. So I think that is it for today. Oh, yes, ma'am.
You had a class this weekend with,
Matt Peter and Brian.
when are we getting the recording for it? How are we getting it?
I'll check with Matt.
So I know that we have 2 other classes coming. They say that in December, something.
Matt said that.
Yes.
Okay, great. I will call him today and check on that for you.
Yeah. awesome.
It was.
Was it good? Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. I will get in touch with him and I'll find out when they're sending out the recording. So, anybody else have anything? We good? All right, guys, get out there. Have a great week. Thank you for being here. Thank you.